I'm going to show you one of my absolute favorite things. That's analyzing and making sense out of data. When I worked in districts, one of my many responsibilities was to help support MTSS to look at culture, climate data. And the big things that I would do is take discipline data and then try to make sense out of it to identify rates of disproportionality, and then use that information to build out interventions, to implement supports, and make a change at the systems level. That used to take so much time. This video, I'm going to show you how you can use School Psych AI, Sophia, analyze data in seconds. Let's jump right in. You're going to head on over to schoolpsych.ai. Once you're there, we're going to go to the Studio Writer. Once you're in the Studio Writer, you're going to create a new Studio Writer thread. All right, and let's just call this one data analysis. And when I would look at data, there's a number of things that I would typically look at. But it would take me days, if not weeks, to comb through a data set and extrapolate meaning out of it. Well, with this technology, we can run complex analysis in a fraction of that time. And even more, we've programmed our platform to where you don't even need to set the data analysis. We do it for you. I'm going to show you what I mean. Inside of the Studio Writer, you can think of the Studio Writer, you have threads or folders. I've already created a new Studio Writer thread. We're going to call this one data analysis. And let's say you're central office, you're working at the district level, whatever it might be. And we might call this district data, culture, and climate. All right. You could label it whatever you want. All right. We see that we ran out of characters. So we'll do culture, climate, and then create. Okay. The next thing that you're going to do is going to create that section there. I'm going to go to tools. Once I'm inside of tools, we have tools available for all these different roles here. You can also just scroll, you could favorite, and you could search. You can see we have a number of different tools. Let's just type in data, and then the tools pop up. And here, I'm going to go to the Equity Data Analyzer tool. Let's click it. Now, this tool we created to help you break down school data to identify disparities in discipline, attendance, achievement, special education, really any data that you might have. But my care has been around culture, climate, discipline data, which is why you see it here. Now, if you have a PDF, very soon we're going to add in CSV files, Word docs, and you'll be able to add that in. But for now, because we're dealing with data that is really language, hence large language models, you'll be able to take any of those data sets that you have and then just input inside this text input box. So you might say, okay, Byron, what does that mean? Let me show you. So I'm going to go over to the homepage at School Psych AI. And if you go to our resources, check out all these resources that we have. But towards the bottom, we have a resource page called Demo Data. And you can use this just as fictional data if you have data, but this is just to kind of give you a glimpse of what you can do. And this is just a dummy data set of culture and climate data. We're going to click that. And then you can see, here's the data that we have. And it's looking at some social emotional, some culture, climate, emotional regulation, some efficacy, school belonging, engagement. Then we have some teacher-student relationships. We see the school climate wing. We have some attendance data, truancy rates. And then we have office discipline referral data, ODRs, the rates per students, the different ODR types, and then ODR by race as well. And then you could take a look at, we have by grade, so 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, and then the district average. Again, because we're dealing with data sets and large language models, these models can understand these data sets, and it doesn't have to be a perfect format. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select all, then I'm just going to copy it. I'm going to go back over to the platform, and then I'm just going to paste that information in. We're not even going to give it a prompt. Literally, all we're doing is taking the data that we have and inputting it into that tool, the Equity Data Analyzer tool. You might ask, how can I do that without prompt? Well, the reason why you're able to do that is because we have set the tool to run a really detailed analysis and it's going to give you a certain output. For starters, it's going to give you an analysis of disproportionality of that data. A cool part about this is that this is completely edited because it's an editor. You can come in, you can edit, you can delete, you can highlight, you can change the headings, the font type, the font size, you can highlight. It's an editor, so there's so much power there. It gives us just a quick opening. It's telling you that it's using the 4-step problem solving model from the PBIS disproportionality data guidebook. So you know that it's built off of something substantial. And then it goes into the problem identification. To determine if disproportionality exists, we'll examine the ODR rates by race. Now, it's looking at the ODR rates, ODR by race, it's breaking it down there. Then it gives us the problem analysis. To understand why disproportionality is occurring, we need to identify vulnerable decision points and patterns. You can see the ODR rate for Black African American students is 35%, which is disproportionately high compared to the representation of the student population, assuming it's less than 35%. It then gives us the ODR rate for white students is 40%, which is also high. And then the reasons for ODRs are mostly consistent across grades, with disrespect 32% and defiance 20% being common reasons. Then we get into the implementation plan. It talks about how to address the identified disproportionality and gives us some strategies that can be developed and implemented. As an example, providing PD, the teachers on culturally responsive practices to reduce bias and discipline, implementing restorative practices, and then analyzing the root cause of those incidents, so disrespect and defiance, to develop targeted interventions. Then it gives us a plan evaluation to monitor and evaluate the effectiveness of interventions, metrics, and stakeholder feedback will be used. Track changes in ODR rates by race and grade level over time. Monitor student perceptions of school climate and teacher-student relationships. Then collect feedback. From who? From teachers and students on the effectiveness of the implemented strategies. Then it gives us some recommendations. Develop and implement a comprehensive plan to address disproportionality and discipline, focusing on culturally responsive practices and restorative justice. Again, because you can edit. Let's say that for whatever reason you don't want to do restorative justice. Make sure you edit this and pick up here. And it gives us recommendations. You can develop and implement a comprehensive plan to address disproportionality, provide ongoing PD, regularly review and analyze discipline data to identify areas for improvement, and adjust strategies accordingly. It gives us some of those key findings. Disproportionality exists in ODR rates by race, with Black, African American students, and white students having higher rates. Common reasons for ODRs include disrespect and defiance. And school climate and teacher-student relationships are generally positive, but there's room for improvement. All right, let's say I don't want this last section, I could delete this out. Just like that, you're able to get a really, really good head start. Remember one of our AI golden rules, AI takes you about 75% of the way there. Use your clinical judgment, decision-making, analysis ability to take you the rest of the 25%. How will you use this tool? Give it a try. Make sure that you comment down below. Let us know if there's a video or a topic you want me to talk on. We can make sure that we do that for you. Otherwise, make sure you hit the like and subscribe. And until next time, take care, everyone.